So until now, we have handled our state using a value notifier, and this is the issue that we see, that whenever we switch between categories, the loader is not there. Of course, because it can be handled with value notifier also, but the code will become more messier and we don't want that. So what we will do, we'll introduce one state management library, that is Flutter Bloc, which is pretty popular, and many big companies also use it as their only state management library, and many of them don't use as well. I personally prefer Flutter Bloc, and together with this we will be using freezed dependency as well, which will help us in generating code for Bloc, so that we have very less boilerplate code, but some things are generated for us so that we can be very sure that we won't get much runtime errors, or we have handled all the states properly. If you're not aware of freezed, what it does, then you can understand it by comparing it to Android's or Kotlin's sealed classes. So it's similar to that. Later you will understand what it actually does, and you can practically understand what is the use of it. So the dependency, we will be adding freeze annotation, but in dev dependencies we will be adding freezed as the dependency, because it will generate code, so it has to be in dev dependencies. Let's run flutter get command, and meanwhile it is running in the event list. Because this is an event list page, we will add a directory, we'll add a package named Bloc, and in this block we will create, first of all we will create straightforward one file, that is event list block. Okay, now what we need to do is, because we are using freezed, let's write off part, and let's write event list underscore block dot freezed dot dart. Then let's create one more file. That will be event list event dot dart. So this is our event file. Bloc basically works on event and states. So we'll have another file, event state dot dart. Okay, in both of these files, let's write part of, first of all, this will be part of the Bloc file. So we'll write event dot list block dot dart, and similarly we will copy this in the event file as well. Now what we will do, we'll go here and declare these two as the parts of this file. So great. Okay, now we will declare a class event list block that will extend block, and this block takes in event and state. So we will have event list event. This class we will create in just a moment. Then we will have event list state as its state class. Okay, let's leave it as it is. Let's create the event class. So and before that, let's also add the annotation, add freezed here. Great. So this is added. Let's create the class event list event with, you have to write with here instead of extends. This will be the common mistake that many of us can do. Now you will have to declare here factory constructors. So what this each factory constructor would mean, whatever event you have in your blocks, you will create one factory constructor for that. So let's say event list event dot load is my first event that should be called when I'm loading this screen, right? And it will be generated with this name, load event list event. Okay, then there will be a second event as well, which will say change category. So this is the command that we will be giving to our block, let's say like that, and we will change it to change category. Great. So these are are two events. What about states? What will be the state of our block? So let's create similar class event list state with underscore dollar event list state, and then again same, whatever states we can have we should be writing here. So my only state would be initial state here, and that state will handle everything for me, like when it's loading, or when category, what category is selected, or what are the list of events that it carries. So basically when I declare all these three things, you can have parameters like this in the curly brackets, and you can directly say bool is loading. So this will be the flag that we will use when we are changing the categories and we are making the API call. So this will be the flag, and then there will be another flag, another variable which will hold category for us. So we will get rid of value listenable, but we will be holding that category in this here. And then there will be list of event, and it can be a nullable string. So let's put it here. Also, the default value of our loading will be true. So as soon as we start our block, the default value of this will be true, so that in the initial start we will show the loader. Okay, and the default value for our category would be all. So we don't need to specify in our UI what will be our default category. We just need to specify in here. And what is this error? Okay, I got it. Because it's part of block file, you should be importing event here. So package ed app, and in the repository dot, this should be giving me the event, and I should be not having errors related to event. Yes, we need to just complete the syntax of this event list state, and you should be attaching so the naming convention that I follow is attach the state name before this one, and that's it. Now the syntax is okay. You might be seeing some errors, but this is because the files are not generated. I think we don't have to write freeze here. We will have to write it in event and blocks, because blocks freeze will be generated, but that would mostly consist of event and state. So let's remove it from here and add it here. That was some mistake that I did. Okay, it will regenerate anyway once I press save, so it will regenerate. Second thing would be, we would want this block to be auto initialized for us. So let's say injectable, let's add injectable to it, so that it will be generated for us when we want to use it in our UI. And then let's remove this. I will add it later. We have to access repository, event repository, because we will be making the API call here. So we will have this repository. Let's declare the variable event repository final variable class member, and then it will say that you have to invoke super, because that's that's required. The first state we will have to supply here. So event list state. Okay, maybe it's not generated, so let me just comment it out for now and save it, so that this watch runs. So it succeeded, and you can see the error is gone, and there are some classes that are already generated, right? So we will now fix this, and we will get into details later. Oh, so the state would be state dot initial, and of course some things are default, like loading will be true, category will be all, and all those things are already done for us. Now after this super, what we can do is we can handle all our events. So on, we will write on here, and we will specify on event list event here. So whenever this type of event is triggered, we will be handling that. Now this event can be of type event list event, and you know how many types are there: load and change category, right? So we will go here and we'll write event.when. When we use this when statement, we will never miss out on any new event that is added. There will be no scenario when you don't handle that event, and that's what adds this freezed class adds benefit to our block. It restricts or stops us to make some mistakes like these, that we have forgotten to handle that event. So it forces you to handle the event, which is right thing. So we will be creating a onload function. Let's create the function first of all for onload. So I will just take the help of autocomplete, and I will give that it's a future of void. Okay, there is a emitter here. Now what is load function doing? Basically, load function will simply call my repository. So I will use await here and event repository dot get events, and from where I will get, so in the initial load I will just pass null here, or I can pass all here, but I will prefer null. Okay, and because we are using await, we should be using async here, and inside the response we will be emitting a state. What that state would be: now imagine you have got the results, right? So you will emit state dot copy with, you will create a new instance of the state with the previous instance, so you will use copy with. Is loading will be false here because we have stopped loading. We don't need to supply category because category is already there, which is all, it's default. So we just need to now supply the events, which is result. And yeah, you have sent you have updated your state now with this statement. What about change category? So change category function will work like this, that it will it should have a category returned from the event. I think we forgot to mention category there, so let's go to event list item and supply a variable string category. Also this will be required. Okay, so whenever this change category event triggers, we will need to pass the category. So that's why we will have this. We will save this so that the watcher will run again, and in the block it failed because yes, there is some error, but let's write another function on change category. On change category, and here we will supply this category as well as the emit function, because we will again emit some state, right? So let's write function for that, and let's write async here again and return the future of void. Okay, maybe I probably because it's not properly generated, it might give us some issues later. So let's comment it out and wait for this generator to run. So it has succeeded. I can uncomment everything, and now you see there are no errors, right? This category needs a type, of course, so it will be a string category. After this let me add a trailing comma. After this, what we need to do is we need to make the same call like load, but this time we will consider passing the category instead, and rest all yes. And we also need to have category selected here as the category which was there. But before that, won't it be a good idea to emit a state saying that I am loading, right? So let's trigger a state dot copy with, and send is loading as true because I am about to make a API call, and also make sure that you supply the category so that your category selector is highlighted with the latest category. Yeah, it's so whenever we click on art, this event will be fired and art will be selected. Why? How? Because we supply the same category back to the state, and with the use of block builder, it will update the state to make this category as the active category. Now once we get the result, we will not update category because it's already present there, because we are using state.copywith. There is no point in doing that. And after everything has happened, we just supply, we just emit this, right? I think we can move it to a single line so that it's more readable, and yeah, it will be more readable. So this is how it looks like. There is one more thing that you can do, that if your category is all, then you can send null if your repository does not handle this case. Okay, but we have handled this is null, so let it be like that. Then we will come back to event list block. I think our block is ready, and we just need to okay, there is no freezed file generated. Where is that? It should be generating a freezed file here itself. Yeah, it's generated now. So it was ID issue. You can see that there is a mixin created, then there are two functions, load and change category, which can be called in the way when or null, and there are many functions like this. So not every time you want to handle both the events. When you want to handle all the events. So now we will go to event list. Now there is no need for future builder at all, because we won't be dealing with the list here. But yeah, what we can do is we can have block builder here instead of, or let's first start from the top. In the event list page, you need to first wrap this page with block provider so that we can further use this block in anywhere in our page. So we will wrap our scaffold, or yeah, let's wrap this scaffold in block provider widget, and we will be creating our block with the help of create. It uses context which we don't utilize, and we will use get it to get the instance of block, event list block. Okay, so we have supplied this block here. Let's use the import. Okay, so this block is supplied here. Now everywhere in the child in the tree, we can use context.read and provide that block instance, block type to fetch that. Now what we need to do is, let's get rid of this widget. We don't need this, and instead of this, let's just call event list and remove this category as well, not required now. Instead of future builder, let's try to use the block builder here, and this block will be of in event list block and event list state. So sorry, event list state. So this will be our block. Of course, there is no point in using this. The build, let me just import it. Okay, instead of snapshot, we have state here, and let's rewrite the code a little bit. So what we generally do here is, if you allow me to comment the code and write fresh code, I will copy from here, but it would be more easier to make you understand how actually it you will write from fresh. Okay, so this builder is supposed to return a widget. Okay, so we will traverse through all the states of this block. So we will use state.when, and only state that we have is initial, and that initial has some parameters, like it has is loading, then the second parameter is category, and the third parameter is events list. Okay, once we have these three, we will again use a fat arrow, and we will try to return a function out of it. So what we will do is we will return another widget, but this widget now will be you can say list view separated if it is loading. So if is loading is true, okay, in that case we will be using list view dot separated. So basically I'm just trying to say that if it's loading, we will be showing this thing, list view dot separated, and it goes till here. We will be using list view dot separated. So let's just return it from here and try to remove the comments out of it. Great. After this is loading, after the list view is closed, we will be supplying another widget that we want to show when it's not loading. So when it's not loading, we want to again check if events is null or not. So this is our code, right? If events is null or is empty, then we would like to show a center widget. Okay, and let's uncomment it as well. And if it's not the case, then we will be showing circular progress indicator. Let's go here, cut it and paste it. So this is how your block will look like, and your block builder will look like. And we will get rid of this, probably this one, yeah, and adding some required commas should be fixing our code. Yeah, only thing, some issues might be there, like events index. Okay, that's okay. Let me check how we can fix that. Yeah, we can do one thing. Instead of null, we can have an empty string. Yeah, maybe. So let's use default here. Okay, and let's say that the list is empty. Let's specify event list. Okay, great. So now I will save this so that my watcher runs again, and in the event list I can now see that this check is wrong, obviously, because now events cannot be null and rest all things are okay. Great. So this is your call that you can make whether you want to have events empty or not. And I think block is done. Yes, now the major part is we need to fire the event. So let's go to event category item, and when this is tabbed, we call this function from here, and we call this function from event list page. Let's add const here. So this is that call, category notify.value. Now before that, let's get rid of this value listenable builder as well. Let's use block builder instead of this, right? So okay, and then the builder, sorry, not build when, the builder would again take context and state, and then we will be let's not use fat arrow. If you have not understood the previous part, let me make it more simple then. So let's run state.when. Let's use return statement first, state.when, and inside this is loading the category. Actually we will not require is loading here, so let's make it underscore is category and double underscore, because we won't be utilizing events also to update category list, right? That's not required. So now from here we will return another we will now return this widget, event category. Okay, here. So you have seen both the types of code where I use multiple return statements, the curly brackets, and the other one where I use fat arrows. So whatever feels your way, you can do it. So we need to make it underscore category first of all, because we are following that convention, and then this will be the category that will be returned from there. So we will compare underscore category with category, and that is what is the check. Okay, we have removed everything. Let's get rid of value notifiers. So eventually we are now getting rid of stateful class. Just remove this and add override, and yep, your full class is ready. Let's run it. Oh, one more thing. On category selected, no, this is wrong what we did. What we need to do is we need to fire an event, and that event would be context.read. First of all, you read the instance of your block, and then you call a event, and that event would be event list event dot category changed, and the category that you have received from that function which you have passed in this function on category selected. Okay, so this is the category. One more thing, we have not called load, so we must be calling load function. Now there are two ways. You can either call it in the block provider when you create the block, or in the block itself you can call it. So one place is that you can call in here, you can add an event here, or you can go to this block, and once this handling is written, you can call the load event. You might be wondering that why can't I call directly on load emit, but I think you cannot, because emit function is provided by this on, and you cannot call emit outside of this. Okay, so let's restart this application. So now you can see a circular progress indicator here, and once it finishes, I think it should be giving us some values, but it turns out that it is not. A classic example of silly mistakes. I was using is loading. If it is true, it will show listview.separated, but there is no item, right? If it's loading, there is no item. So I would have to use is loading, right? So let's change this condition a little bit. If it's loading, then our first choice is to load a circular indicator. Let's say that. Okay, let's take it more in a natural way, and okay, so this is how it looks like. And then if it's not loading, then we go with listview.separated. But before that, we decide if events is empty, right? If events is empty, so we will use question mark and display this text. If events is empty, we will have a centered text. Otherwise, we will display a list, right? So this is what the code should look like. Now it's more readable. If you see from top, if it's loading, show the indicator. Now if it has loaded and events is empty, show no events nearby. And then if events are also there, then show the list. So let's reload this application and see how it's working. So there is an indicator first of all, and then there is a list. When I click on tech, I see an indicator, and this is what we lagged in value listenable builder. And of course we didn't lag, but we didn't want to continue with that approach because it was too messy to do that. But with Bloc, now we can manage multiple states simultaneously, and we can handle multiple widgets with different variables. So this is nice. Why not let's add something more eye-catchy. So let's add shimmer as well while we are loading, and that would be the end of end of this tutorial, this chapter. So I will go and add a shimmer here, the shimmer, and then the version is 2.0.0, and from I think first chapter itself we are seeing that this is an error. Why? Because it's not alphabetical. Of course, we don't require Cupertino icons as of now. Let's remove it completely. Not a problem. Okay, we will hit pubget so that the shimmer is loaded. And what we will do is We'll create a event shimmer item file. Okay, and let's say event shimmer item. Here, how you will generally create a shimmer. Okay, so what I feel is we should have event list item and then create a shimmer out of it. Okay, so my way of doing would be to just copy the event item and replace everything with sized boxes or decorated boxes. So let's do that. Let's copy the event item. Okay, this complete return row, everything should be copied from here. First thing first, let's wrap this row with shimmer.fromColors. From colors, and the colors that I would be using will be base color will be colors.black 26 and highlight color would be colors.white 54. I think there is some mistake here. Okay, so this is the color for shimmer. We don't have event.image, we don't have event object. Let's create a small item that would be nothing but a sized box and a decorated box. So let's create another widget. This will be our underscore item. This we will require a lot, so I'm just creating a widget out of it so that we reuse it again and again. Okay, and we will provide a width and height to it. It will be a sized box, and then we will add a child to it, which will be a decorated box. Why? Because I want to have a border radius, because that would add more that will make our shimmer lines more attractive. And let's add colors.gray to it, and then border radius of 8. Great. So this is how it looks like. I will show you how it doesn't look better with no borders. Fine. Then what we can refactor. So let's say this whole size box will be replaced by item and width will be 70. Okay, and there will be a height of this. With 0.6 aspect ratio, the height comes out to be 1112. So we can have that. I think everywhere we can use const here because it will be all static. And then in the expanded, we have this column. Instead of this text, we will have item here. Okay, and we will give some width to it. Let's say the width would be again a 10 width, 100 width, and height would be 10. So let's add const to it. Okay, and similarly we will be copying this to replace the name. Here we will keep height 15 so that it looks a little bit more bigger, and also width will be 150. Let's keep the size box as it is so that there is some gap, and of course there is some gap from text also, which we won't be able to achieve without sized box. So let's have 5 and 10 here. Instead of 150, again we will come back to 80 sort of thing, and then the height would be 10. This should look good. I think it will tell us to put const in all the elements by this. Then we have 2 columns, and here as well we can replace them with item with some width. So width will be 50. Let's say height will be 30. Okay, and then there will be a size box like before. So size box, the height of that would be, let's say 5 or 10. Let's take 5, and then the same item would be there. Great. So the same item would be there, but this time it would be of little less height because it's a discount cost. And then I think we can add const here, and it should work properly. Yeah, so shimmer is ready. Let's close this. Now where to use it? Here, instead of circular progress indicator, what we can do is we can create another listview.builder and use separated instead of that, or we can do one thing. Instead of this event item, if it's loading, no, we can't do that because that would be wrong. Let's separate out these things from a shimmer list, right? So we can create a separate widget, or let's for the time's sake, let's reuse this listview.separated and have it present in here. Okay, so this is another list view, but this time obviously separator will be same. Items count, let's keep 4 static count, and instead of and let's remove inkwell, that's not required, padding is required. Event item, event shimmer item, and yeah, that should be it. So you can see what we are doing here. When instead of a loader, we will be now showing a list of shimmers, and that would be considered as a this list. So it's a shimmer, and when I switch between designs, again it's a shimmer. Text, again shimmer. What we can do is we can just take it out from here and put it in a widget. Event list or event shimmer list, and stateless widget, event shimmer list, and then just replace everything with that, and event shimmer item should be imported, and that is it. I think in the event list we can simply go back and call event shimmer list, and it should work. I'm restarting the application, and we can see the same in output. We can't click on it. Of course, now we can click on it, so yeah, it works. Great. And now when I go to domain, it will show me no. Okay, when I go to movies, it should show me no events nearby. And I think that is it. From this we learned block here, and we added shimmer here, we learned freeze here. Now next would be to add search events to this class. Let's do that. Okay, to get started with that, we will be needing the block again, majorly the event that we need to fire. So inside that event, so now I will be adding another event here, which will be search event. So this search event will take with it a search text. Okay, and we will change the name of this as well, and then we will run flutter pub build runner. So meanwhile it builds, we will see an error coming here that we need to handle the new event. So that will come here, and that's what I was saying. Whenever we add a new event, there will be a compile time error, and you will be forced to handle that event. It's your wish whether you want to handle that or not. And if you don't want to handle, then you can, instead of when, you can write maybe when. But honestly, what will be you can use when or null or maybe when. And honestly, what will be the scenario when you don't want to handle the events? You should not be adding such events if you're not handling them, right? So we can add another search event here, and let's format it. So we will get search text. What we will do here, we will call onSearch function and pass in the search term and emit. Okay, now let's create this function similar to this one. Here just change this to search. Great. Now we need the function in our repository. What we will do first of all here is emit is loading true, but there is no category. So let's remove this from the state, and the default category would be whatever is already selected. From here, let's say get events by name, and then search term, search term. Whatever result we get from this, we will be resulting in the new state. So now we need to just write a function now, so that we can remove we can return events by name. So let's create another function. Let's block this method being called if search term is empty. So if it is empty, let's not do anything. Okay, a person can actually invoke this event, so that's why. Now let's also do one more thing. In the search box, you can go down, and in this button you can write context.read, and you will be calling event list block. And then, so there are differences, like you can get the instance of event list block from get it as well, but since you have provided it from block provider above the tree, you should fetch it from event list block. Ideally there will be no two instances, but it will be better that the instance which is being used or which is being provided, that block itself should be used from there. So let's call that event the search event from here. And what will be my search text? So for that we will need to make it this a stateful widget, because we now will introduce text editing controller. Okay, so let's say search controller. In the init state function, we can have search controller initialized here like this. Okay, and this should be second line. Let's do the super calls first. While disposing, we generally do it reverse way, because you want to dispose everything yourself before the class disposes some other stuff. So we can dispose this. So when this screen is not active, this will be disposed. We can get, and we have to also assign this controller to this field. So let's assign. Now whatever text you enter in this field, you can get that text by using the search controller, and that's it. So this is how you will fire this event. Next thing would be we will come back to this search function, and we will search it. Let's remove this. Okay, obviously with the delay itself, since it will be a single line function, so what I will do is events dot where I will convert this to event, and then we can say if event dot name dot contains that specific string, that is search term dot search term. That's it. Now I will just do it to list, so that we return it from here. And now when we run the application again, there are some errors on search. Okay, so now we can reload the application, restart the application. And now if I search for Android, let's see whether the results are there or not. Okay, nothing happens again. Maybe because this is resulting in nothing, because see, I have a small letter here, and in my title it's capital. So we need to convert this to lowercase, and also need to convert this to lowercase, so that it matches a broader range of results. Let's restart this. Okay, now I will search for Android. Search. Okay, I don't know what's happened here. So let us debug. If searched, if it's not empty, then search for the text. Great. So now I'm searching for Android, and I will just hit send button. It's loading, and it will give me results for Android. Let's say okay. So it has given me multiple results, and yes, so now everything is applied, and we can now move to adding favorites screen. So when we go to details page, we'll mark this as a favorite. So this will be a longer functionality. First, because it's conceptual, I will just add a bottom app bar here and show you that we can add favorites and how we can navigate, how we can utilize auto route to navigate to details and then back to favorites and all those things. So we will add a bottom bar, and then we will also have home here, then we will have favorites here, and we will switch between these tabs.